Okay, you don't know how many outtakes I've already had. We're going to get it this time. What do we do if we do have that bx? We don't want to always graph everything. So how do we solve these if we have the bx term? Okay, so moving to what we're going to do. We need the zero product property. For any real numbers a and b, if a times b equals 0, then a or b has to equal 0. So for example, using the factoring that we say we're going to use for this one, if I have x plus 3 times x plus 2, and it's equal to 0 because that's how we have our quadratics, right? Then, so I missed my if, then x plus 3 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. One or both has to equal 0 for our answer, or for us to get an answer. Find our roots. Okay, so this one's fairly set up for us, right? It's already in factored form. All I have to do is set each of those factors equal to 0, right? So then we solve. So I subtracted my 1's from both sides, and now I'm going to divide by 4, get t by itself. So t will equal a -1/4. I'm going to add 2 over here. So then t equals 2. So then t equals a -1/4, comma 2. And yes, it's -1/4 or 2, but your answers, when we give them, as long as, this is why it's important to delineate whether you have parentheses around it. Parentheses around it means it's a point x comma y. These are both t values. That's why there's no parentheses. They are both solutions. All right. But what if they give it to us and it's not in factored form? Well, that's when we have to factor, and that's why we got to pull out chapter 8's information. So step 1, factor. Once we factor, then we're going to set each factor. Oops, I don't know why I want to put another e after the h every time. Each factor equal to 0. And then step 3, solve. Those are your 3 steps we're going to do. So we have a coefficient of 1, so I'm just going to go straight to my parentheses. My c value is positive, so that means same signs. My b value is positive, so that means they're going to be positive. So we're going to have x plus and x plus. And then I'm going to ask myself, what multiplies to 15? Well, that could be 1 and 15. That could also be 3 and 5. Well, 3 and 5 add to 8, so that's why they're my answers, and I plug them in. Doesn't matter which place I plug them in, but I plug them in, and all of that is equal to 0. From here, I just set them each equal to 0. So that was step 1, was factoring, right? This was 1. This is part 2. Set each equal to 0. And then after that, we just solved. X equals a -3 minus 5 minus 5. X equals -5. So then x equals -3 comma -5. And that is how we solve. That's simple. So next question. Moving right along. What if it doesn't equal 0? Like, it has to. There's no way around it. You have to have it equal 0. So step 1 here is to solve or make equal to 0. That's not just, oh, I'm getting rid of the 18 and making it 0. No, I've got to subtract 18 from both sides. That's how I make it 0, right? And so now I have 4x squared minus 21x minus 18 equals 0. And now we're happy. Happy, happy, happy. Double check, make sure nothing comes out of all 3. If the 4 was a 3, we'd be in luck, but it's not. So step 2 is to factor. In this case, we're going to have to use that AC method, right? So we're going to get 4 times that negative 18. So that's 72, negative 72. So how do we multiply to get to 72? Well, that could be 1 and 72. That could be 2 and 36. That could be 3 and 24. That could be 4. Yep, 4 and 8. Duh. Right up here. 4 and 18. Mrs. Cartwright had a brain fart. 6 and 12. And 8 and 9. So those are our list of factors. And then I need to know, because this is negative, I have different signs. And then because the middle one is negative, the negative goes with the bigger number. So I need which of these will subtract, because we're going to have different signs, to 21. So 72 minus 1 doesn't get us there. Not our answer. 36 minus 2, still too far away. 24 minus 3, that's 21. There we go. All right, and then the 21's bigger, so I'm going to put the negative with the 24. And then I plug that in, right? So x squared, 4x squared. I like to put my negative numbers next. Minus 24x plus 3x minus 18, still equal to 0. From here, we do the grouping. Right? 4 comes out of the first group, and we've got, 4x comes out of the first group, and we're left with x minus 6. And then 3 comes out of the second group, and again, we're left with x minus 6, still equal to 0. And then I do my inside-outside. So inside is x minus 6, outside is 4x plus 3, which is, again, factoring out the greatest common factor, because x minus 6 is in both. Set equal to 0. Step 3. Set factors equal to 0. So x minus 6 equals 0. 4x plus 3 equals 0. I don't know why I started putting it as a fraction, but we'll fix that. And then I just solve. So add 6. X equals 6. Subtract 3. My pen tablet's being funky. 4x equals negative 3. Divide by 4. X equals a negative 3/4. And so I know that x equals a negative 3/4, comma 6. And those are my two x values. I forgot to put that 4 is to solve. Okay, so we're factoring using our skills to factor, set those factors equal to 0, and then solve. All right, last one. We're constructing a frame, rectangular photo shown. You want the frame to be the same width all the way around. So that's these x values because we don't know that width. Total area of the frame. So I know area equals 315. I also know that area is length times width. We want the frame to be the same width all the way around and total area of the frame to be 315 inches squared. What should the outer dimensions, so what are my x values, of the frame be? So from here, we are constructing this, and it says width. Oh, yeah. I was looking for something because I was in a different problem I did earlier. My bad. So I need my length and my width. So my length, I've got two x values on this length. So I've got a 2x plus the original 17 for the picture. So 2x plus 17. And my width, my up and down, again, have my two x's. So 2x and then plus the 11. And then I just plug into my equation. So I have 2x plus 17 times 2x plus 11 equals 315. Oops, 315. Let's rewrite that. 315. Okay, so it would be great if it had equaled 0, right? Because then we're already in factored form. But guess what? We're not in factored form. So I have got to double distribute or FOIL. Don't do that to me now. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this math and write it down. I'm not going to talk all the way through it. So when I multiply, I should end up with 4x squared plus 22x plus 34x plus 187 equals 315. And then we've got to make this equal 0. So I've got to subtract that 315. So now we have 4x squared plus, and I'm going to combine these at the same time. 4x squared plus 56x minus 128 equals 0. Now I can factor, but I do notice that 4 comes out of all of this. So I'm going to take 4 out to the front, leaving me with x squared plus 14x minus 32 equal to 0. We have that 1 there, so I know that it's going to be x and x, different signs, positive, negative. And then what multiplies to 32 and subtracts to 14, and the answer is 16 and 2. Since it's a positive 14, I'm going to put the 16 with the plus and the 2 with the minus. That is all equal to 0. We can set 4 equal to 0. We're going to get nothing from it, right? Because 4 does not equal 0. But I do need to set, so x plus 16 equals 0 and x minus 2 equals 0. So from here, when I subtract 16, I end up with the fact that x equals a negative 16. I can't have a negative dimension, so this one is out. Over here we add 2, and so we end up with x equals 2. What I'm going to do with that value, because it didn't ask what is x, or what is the width of the frame. It says what should the outer dimensions be. So we just plug them back into here. The outer dimensions should be, we should have 2 times 2 plus 17. So 17 plus 4, which is 21. That equals 21. And then 2 times 2 plus 11. So we'd have 4 plus 11, which is 15. So we would want, we would want a 15 by 21 frame. Or 15 and 21 inches are the new dimensions. And that, my friends, is how we do it. That was a lot. If you're confused on where I got the 2x from, maybe you see the 17, but you're like, I don't get the 2x's. Feel free to come talk to me, but really what it is I have one x over here and one x over here, so that becomes 2x's. Until next time, 8th grade. Deuces.